It's been 2 years since Yezdi launched the Adventure in India, and in that time it received a mild OBD2 update to help with overall refinement levels. Now, Yezdi has given it yet another sizable update. This one has reworked internals and slight changes to the aesthetic. We're here to tell you if all of this has accumulated to make it a better motorcycle than before. The design remains unchanged, and it'll take a keen eye to spot the difference between the updated Adventure and the model it replaces. The biggest giveaway is the 4 new colors on offer, a new bash plate and a new cage on either side of the tank, but more on that later. Yezdi claims that the tank cage is now 3.5 kilos lighter than before and is the primary reason for its overall weight reduction. Meanwhile, the rerouted exhaust has only saved 1 kilo, giving the Adventure a total dry weight of 190.5 kilos, which includes the weight of the cage. This makes the updated Adventure 6 kgs heavier than the latest Himalayan, which is now a larger motorcycle and packs a higher capacity motor. The Adventure's weight loss isn't as sufficient as I'd hoped for, especially since its heft has been a complaint since its launch. The ergonomics and seat height remain unchanged, and the tight seat to footpeg ratio is better suited for shorter riders. Classic Legends has taken notes from what they did with the Java 350 and applied those notes right over here. This is the same 334cc engine as before, but Yezdi has reworked the internals, which has resulted in a mild drop in performance by about 0.7 horsepower. The result is a motor that feels more refined and produces better low-end performance. However, even though this motor is a lot more refined than before, it still has an underlying clunky feeling to it, which gets more noticeable once you climb higher in the rev range. The Adventure also has a tendency to stall, and there were times the motor struggled with starting up, leaving me ankle deep in muck with a bike that wouldn't crank on the first or sometimes even the third attempt. All in all, the refinement is an improvement over the previous model, but hasn't solved the problem altogether. Yezdi claims to have made changes to the fuel maps and incorporated a new gear-based mapping system where the first 3 gears are better optimized for low-end grunt, given their use case is limited to urban or off-road use. While the first 2 gears pack more punch, the third gear feels rather flat and dull when compared to the second or fourth gear. Yezdi says this has been done to keep emissions in check since the third gear is used most often in the city. Riding the Adventure off-road was fun, and thanks to the better low end, it was a hoot despite the unfavorable conditions. What also helped was the lighter clutch, and Yezdi has added a slip and assist clutch to make switching gears a lot easier. Braking performance remains the same and does a decent job at bringing the Adventure to a halt. Yezdi has made changes to the ABS modes, and depending on what mode you're in, you will notice a difference in how early ABS kicks in. The rear ABS can only be turned off in off-road mode, which I use most. Even though I didn't ride the Adventure for too long on tarmac, I noticed a positive change in its ride quality with the little time I had. Out on the road, this ADV felt smoother than before and packed sufficient punch to keep the ride engaging. The company claims to have retuned the suspension damping to better absorb undulations at lower speeds and provide more composure at higher speeds. Changes to the suspension have improved its handling, the ride quality feeling less soft and more progressive than before. Brake dive seems better contained than before, and so is its composure mid-corner. That being said, it still won't iron out bumps with the same level of efficiency as the new Himalayan 450. While it isn't nearly as off-road focused as the likes of the new Himalayan or the X-Pulse, the Yezdi Adventure is still one of the more capable off-road bikes available under 3 lakh. We can't comment yet on its road touring abilities as there was no highway riding on this launch event. At a slightly more affordable price, you can now get a motorcycle that's more refined, tractable and marginally lighter. What helps Yezdi's case even further is that the Adventure currently has no direct rival, unlike the previous generation Himalayan. However, there is room for improvement, and certain aspects like the switchgear and engine refinement can be improved further. Prices for this motorcycle start at Rs 2.10 lakh and go up to Rs 2.20 lakh. It is worth noting that the tank cage does not come as standard and is instead sold as a mandatory accessory, which will cost you an additional 3,500 over the cost of the motorcycle. At this point, Yezdi should either include the price of this accessory along with the motorcycle or stop making it mandatory for its customers. If you're in the market for an ADV that can handle both dirt and tarmac, the Yezdi Adventure strikes a decent balance.